we're in the middle of WrestleMania, you guys. And she's got a billion things to do. And she's 10 minutes late. And she's like, I am so sorry. I'm like, hey, you got a lot on your plate right now.
Well,
you know, I
don't
get
we
it.
all?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
This week's been a busy one.
Yeah, tell us about it. And tell us how you were feeling and how did it all come to be.
You know,
and...
let me tell you the story of how it came to be. Because it involves Jelly and Bunny.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm
awesome.
actually, one of my best friends is Bunny. I love that woman so much. Like, we are very, very close, right?
Wow.
And so
Hey, how's her book tour doing?
Oh, she's crushing it. She like 6 weeks in a row, she was like the New York Times bestseller. Like she's
That's amazing.
smashing. And I was so proud of her. But she was doing her book tour and she was doing her live podcast and she was in LA. So she texted me being like, can you come on? I was like, absolutely.
Awesome.
And so I get there and then, you know, her manager comes and gets me and she was like, hey, you got a friend in there? And I was like, who? And I go down there and it's Brad Slayer. So that's Dwayne's agent.
Yeah.
Right? And I've known him for over 10 years because of fighting with my family and stuff. You know, great guy, always checks in on me every 6 months. I'll get
great.
a text from him. Yeah. And so he was in there and he was like, it's so great to see you. He gives me a big hug. And then Jelly was just like, I'm going to end up cussing a little bit. But he was like, what the fuck? You know, like, when are you going to bring it back? Give a call to your guy and stuff. And Brad looks at me, he's like, do you want to come back? And I was just like, yeah, I would love to
Really?
come back. Yeah, I would love it. You know, and then he was like, all right, let me make a call. So he calls Nick and within 30 minutes, you know, Nick had said, sure, let's get a meeting with her. So
Awesome.
a week later, he flies to LA to the WWE offices out there. I went and met him for about 10 minutes, you know. Great guy.
Right?
Love him.
Right.
Big
He
fan of
is
him.
a really, really great guy.
Yeah, big fan of him. And
Super smart, right?
Super smart.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you know,
And talk about psychology.
yeah, he's got a business brain on him.
Yeah.
But, you know,
And a people brain.
yes.
Yeah, he's
but
got both.
I thought I'd be intimidated by him, but going in there,
He's easy going.
He's easy going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's like, two
Well,
things.
in certain settings.
Yeah, sure. He goes, two things. Your neck has to be okay, and we have to do a drug test, right? Because I was like, fair
Yeah.
enough. I was
Yeah.
like, hey, I can control the drug test. I'm clean as a whistle, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know how my neck's been. It's been a few years since I got it checked, but last time I got it checked, it was perfect. So I'm not really concerned about it. And so, you know, I fly to, the next week I fly to Birmingham. Nikki was there getting her ankle
Oh, wow.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same time.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
weird.
That's super weird.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like, what the heck?
definitely.
Yeah, it's like perfect time.
Yeah.
And so I was at the doctor there from like 5:45 a.m. until like 3 or 4 in the afternoon doing all these tests because, I mean, you guys have to be thorough, right? Making
Yeah.
sure my neck is perfect. And at one point, I thought I was something was wrong because all the doctors around the screen just being like, you know,
Like, right?
Yeah, calling up
Talking,
the doctor.
pointing at stuff.
Oh my gosh, I was like, something's happening. They're not gonna let me go back, you know. And then and I'm exhausted, just sitting there, you know, waiting for the answer. And then he comes in and he was like, "You ready to go home, kid?" And I was like, I bawled my eyes out. We actually have clips of it. My friend was recording it. I cried my eyes out. It was a couple of things. The fact that my neck was good, and last time I was in WWE, my neck wasn't, and I had to retire, and I had to miss out on all these massive things like the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, like all these things I didn't get to be a part of, even though I was part of the group that helped kind of
Right,
ignite
yeah,
that,
you were.
right?
For
And then-
sure.
Yeah, and then
They made a whole movie about it.
the whole thing about it. I keep forgetting about that thing, you know, and it's just the fact that I'm gonna be okay. And so I was like, wow, my neck is good. I'm happy. I'm healthy. Like
Right?
everything's going right. And then, so I was bawling my eyes out, hugging the doctors. You know, I actually sent Hunter a voice note being like, I'm cleared, you know, like, you can't get rid of me, you know. And then I get another text, you know, from Stacy, and she was like, all right, let's do the blood test. So I do the blood, peed a little bit too, you know, I got all that out the way. And then for some reason I had in my head that what if I ate something like a poppy seed or something
Right,
like that?
right.
I start
Or took
getting in my
allergy
head-
medicine or
Yes.
something?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't even take an ibuprofen. Like
wow.
I'm so worried about any kind of like medicinal stuff, pharmaceutical stuff,
yeah.
which is crazy for me considering 10 years ago I didn't care at all, you know?
Right.
But I really worry about that kind of stuff. So I was like, maybe I drank something that was weird. You know, I was just so worried. Anyway, I was fine. They were like, you're good, calm down kind of thing. And so, yeah, I was completely cleared. And then it kind of went into negotiations. And then Mania, that was on Monday. We were getting all that done. And then this weekend was obviously Mania. So it was a bit of a quick
Wow, that
turnaround.
was fast.
Yeah.
This
So
week.
when's the last time you actually wrestled?
2 years ago. The whole time I've been thinking about just coming back to WWE. That's all I wanted, and to wrestle again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at the Royal Rumble, people thought I was coming back then.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
going crazy.
I know.
for it.
I did actually hear that. Yeah.
They were going crazy if I was going to be number 30. And I was just like, oh man, well, the interest is still there.
Yeah.
You know? I was like, okay,
which
they
is a
still
great
like me.
feeling, right?
It's a great
Because you just
feeling.
never know.
You never know.
Yeah, and it's
I
like
thought
it feels pretty awful when they don't want you.
Yeah, and they don't care, and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh man. And I thought I went through that stage where people
Because
stopped
that's
caring.
what you thought.
It was in my head.
Yeah,
It was in my
because I
head.
know
Yeah,
people care about you.
they do.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because you're very special.
Thank you. Oh,
You
this is why
are.
people cry. This is funny.
This is
But
exactly
it's so
why.
true,
Okay,
and
yeah.
everybody feels it. And even your energy, having you sit there and be back and talk, I'm like so excited for people to hear you and see you and see how great you look and feel, and just
you.
hear about your journey and
Thank you.
to come through everything you've come through,
Mm-hmm.
and to still be you,
Yeah.
like this super cool, like 100%, 100,000% yourself.
Thank
You know,
you.
I don't think it's possible for you to be anything but you.
Oh, my dad would kick my ass if I was any different. I tell you what, we were doing a UK tour with WWE, and I was just back then we had like live events. We were on a grind, right? We'd be home for like one day. We
Yeah,
would fly on
yeah.
Christmas. Like we were just on a grind, which grateful for it, right? But I was really tired. I was very tired. And we landed in the UK, and there was a ton of fans outside. And like, I wasn't rude to him, but I was like, I'm going to bed. I'll be back down later. And my dad didn't like the tone of the way I said that. So he's like, sorry for cussing again, but it is my dad. He was like, get your fucking ass over there and you sign those autographs. He was like, they pay your bills, they do this. And I'm like, okay, in front of all the fans. So I'm like, I'm sorry, Dad. So I'm like, signing those yeah, so I was like, okay, I should never do that. But I also remember, he taught me, people remember the way they make you feel.
That's right.
So they may not remember the things that you said, the things that you do, but they remember that feeling that you
They
gave
sure
them
do.
100%. So that moment for them, they'll remember for the rest of their life. But I had an experience when I was a kid. This bitch.
Oh,
Let me tell you. Emma
boy.
Bunton from the Spice Girls.
no.
Right?
baby
What
I've given
happened?
her since then.
Spice.
Oh,
What
let
happened?
me tell you. So let me paint a picture for you. Early 90s, right? I was a kid, early 90s. And my mum and dad were on the same show as her, this morning show in the UK. And she's signing autographs for everyone's kid, the staff's kid and stuff like that. My mum and dad, like, they're a rough couple, I get it, but they go up and they're like, can you sign this for my daughter? And she was like, no. And it broke my heart. Like,
Wait, why'd she do that?
I don't know. She signed for everybody else. She wouldn't sign for me.
Have you ever spoken to her?
So yeah, I did
Okay.
tweet at her. I was just like, hey, if you want
but
to
not
make
you didn't see her.
no. I
Okay.
tweeted at her. I was like, if you want to make up for not signing an autograph for me, 30 years ago, I'd appreciate if you came to the Wembley show. And she responded instantly. She was like, I am so sorry. That's not how I am, and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, I'm not
Wow.
trying to give you a hard time. But I was like, but you did
No,
heal
you
my
did.
inner
Yeah.
child right there.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Sporty
That's
Spice
great.
would never
Yeah.
do that.
Sporty Spice would never.
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 She would never
saying.
do that. I love her. But yeah, it's like it really did. And that kind
I
of
guess
stuck
she's
with
human
me.
too, right?
Everyone's
could've had a
human.
bad
Everyone
day.
has a bad moment.
Yeah.
That's why I don't try and judge if someone's not being their self for a second. I'm just
Yeah.
like, hey, they're just having a moment. It'll pass.
And I think sometimes it's like you just don't know. If you don't know someone and they do that, you don't know they're just having a bad day, right? You like
Exactly.
assume that's the way they are the whole time.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
I don't know why it's easy for human nature to assume the worst in others.
Oh,
Right? Like, what is that?
I don't know. You always believe the bad stuff over the good stuff, and it's always.
Yeah.
I always say it's always easier to be a heel over a baby face because
Agreed.
It's easier for people to hate you than
It's so
like
much easier.
you. And I never understand that with human nature because I would never be the kind of person that would comment on someone's post and be like, "You look ugly,"
Right?
You
Me
know, I'm
neither.
like, what goes through your
Yeah.
head when you
Yeah.
do something like that? I don't understand why it's human to believe the negative stuff like that.
Yeah, I know.
It's hard.
I've stopped reading my ex feed.
You should. You
Yeah,
should.
I mean,
They're
I'll still
horrible.
look at it for news and stuff like that, even though I don't love the super algorithm of everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, in general, across all social. Like, on the one hand, it's fun, but I used to miss getting a bunch of different types of thinking. Like I like to see different perspectives,
Yeah,
right?
a
Because
lot
I
of
feel like
different
that's the
sides.
best way for me to learn. So I don't like only being fed one perspective. It
Yes.
drives me crazy, so I have to go search it.
Yeah.
But
I hate that. I
Yeah.
hate that. I understand completely. With Twitter especially, it's like you ghost and post kind of thing. Or
Yeah.
post and ghost.
Yeah.
It's just
That's
easier
right.
that way.
Yeah.
That's what the Cavender twins
Yeah.
taught us when we asked, because they're like influencers on social, and that was their advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like, again, people could be so negative and like right
And
now.
mean.
And mean.
Mean.
That was one thing I was shooting for Unreal. I
Yeah.
was shooting for Unreal, and I said the one thing that I'm most stressed about is how mean fans can be on social media. And I was like, I don't want them to deter me in any way because they do.
Yeah.
They can attack you, but right now everyone's been really, really positive, and I have been like kind of doom scrolling a little bit. Just
I
to
know, I
see.
know.
I was like, oh, I can't help it because I'm
right.
like everyone's and their reactions.
I know,
and
I
stuff
love
is
it, but
great.
that's the thing. We all love the feedback, right?
Everyone loves
Yeah.
the feedback.
But then you can't help how your like soul gets crushed
oh,
when you start reading some of the mean stuff.
The one negative
yeah,
that
you
takes
can have
you
100
out.
positive. That one
Yeah.
negative, you're like, wow, I suck. I'm awful.
I'm
And
the
then-
worst.
Yes, exactly.
And meanwhile, what my husband always says, and I think I've said on this podcast, is he goes, "Would you ask that person for advice
it's true.
about anything?" Mm-hmm. Like, no.
No.
So why do I care what they think? right?
Exactly. Like,
And
what
they're
do they
just
do?
trying to stir trouble anyway.
Exactly. They
So
want a
you can
reaction.
only, they're what's it called? Rage baiting.
Rage baiting.
Yes, rage
Okay,
baiting.
Stan.
They get me sometimes.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I have 3 kids, three girls. Yeah,
I'm
women.
learning too. Even I like the language or whatever.
I know there's a
it
whole nother. It
changes.
does constantly.
Yeah, my niece
And
and nephews.
spelling and actuality of words is not a thing.
Oh
Yeah, I have no idea
They
what's
like
going
make
on.
up words.
Yes.
and
We-
think it's okay.
The 6, 7. I'm like, it drives me nuts. I don't know
Oh,
what
that's
this is.
just being out of age.
Okay. Okay, but it's cool for them, not cool for me.
It's
I
very
agree.
cool for them.
Yeah.
They
I'm
get
just
it.
like, what?
They
It
get it.
drives me nuts.
What Nick Kahn always says is when you start, you're starting to get older when music and technology.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you can't,
don't
you
get
stick
it.
to
Yeah.
what you love. Like, what do these young kids listen to?
It's just
You don't like
noise.
it? Yeah.
Back in my day, we used to have
Yeah.
real music. you
Yeah.
know?
That's right.
Jackie and I learned this morning that instead of saying like, "What is this shit?" you say, "What is TS?"
What is TS?
TS. So you don't say this shit, which is like, okay, you don't swear, but you have to say TS now.
Is
Oh,
what is this
fair
shit a commonly said phrase?
Or like, I'm sick of TS. I'm over TS.
Fair. I mean, they're just getting lazy.
Yeah,
with
like,
the way
that's
they
what you
speak.
think it is.
I know.
They're just
Yeah.
lazy.
Yeah, well, there was this one time I was at this music festival, and this girl was like, "Can I take a 0.5 with you?" And I'm like,
Yes, it's a particular type of picture.
"Yeah." And
yes.
I'm like, "You mean just a photo?" Like, yeah.
No,
I-
but
I-
what does the 0.5 do? I forget.
it like zooms out? It's
Oh,
wide
okay.
angle. Yeah, and I'm like,
Okay.
"This isn't flaring though."
Yeah,
Actually, no, you
Yeah.
can't.
Who wants
I
a
get
good
it.
wide angle lens?
Not me.
From the
me
Not
either.
me.
ground.
Oh my gosh, not a big fan of that.
But we were being explained this new phrase,
Oh,
and Jackie
yes.
and I were like, but why don't?
Oh
why-
wait, who's explaining it? My girls?
perhaps.
maybe.
So
It's
they're
okay.
they're often saying,
cool.
"What is
I'm
this
not.
shit?"
You
in
know.
your house.
Yeah, I guess they say it
But
when I'm not around.
I feel like we sounded so old. We're like, well, why can't you just say it? Why don't you just say it out? Like,
Right.
just we couldn't get it. I don't know. It was-
Yeah.
I had someone say this food was gas,
oh,
and I didn't know if that was a good or a bad thing.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, this food is gas, and I was like,
So it is a good thing?
"Yeah, it's a
Gas?
good
Yeah,
thing." I didn't
yeah,
know gas
yeah.
was a good thing though.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Gas always sound like a terrible thing.
Trying to think of the word Aurora used to describe one of the fellow members on her team. She's going to cringe when she hears this, but it was super positive. She's disgusting. She's disgusting at her position.
Oh.
And I
Oh,
was
that's a
like,
good
like
thing.
you're
I know
sick.
that
yeah.
one.
And I asked, I was like, that's a good thing, right? And she's like, oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
just disgusting. I'm like, oh yeah,
She's
she
sick.
is. She is pretty good.